Hey, Kelly,
Yeah, Letty.
what's your superpower? Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
I can't see. I'm going to take off my reading glasses.
Oh, well, why don't you do that?
Okay, that's better. Now I can't read my show notes.
This is like seriously life's dilemma.
Struggle. So I don't need my show notes because I am mega recorder. What's your superpower?
I'm a chameleon.
Not a. You are the
I
chameleon.
am the chameleon, actually. Yes. Welcome to WTH ADHD.
Hi.
It's with Kelly and Letty.
So we wanted to talk to you, fellow ADHDers who have superpowers. Kelly, why do you say I have a superpower of mega recorder?
Because, Letty, you have this crazy ability to remember everything you see, read, hear. What are other things that can
Touch.
actually touch? Your brain has the capacity to remember everything. And it literally baffles me. It baffles me.
It baffles me too because I always feel like I have all this really weird information just bouncing around in my brain. And I'll hear someone say something and then it'll be like, boop, retrieving record 452.7B.
Seriously.
Did you know blah, 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 blah? And then I sound like that person. Or I'll talk to them about like, oh, you can fix that by blah, 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 blah. Before I was medicated was uncontrollable. I would spew in the middle of someone else's
You know
conversation
what? Yeah, you
to
would.
people I
Yeah.
don't know.
Uh-huh.
I'd want to just help. I want to help everybody all the time. It's like a
Mhm.
compulsion,
Mhm.
right? To save the world.
Mhm.
Mega Recorder wants to save the world.
Mhm.
And I couldn't inhibit myself from saying whatever it was that popped in because I felt 100% that if I told that person this thing,
Right.
it would fix their problem
Yes.
and then they'd be so much happier.
Mhm.
And it makes me happy to see people who are happy. And
Did it always work out?
well, I think people thought I was fucking rude sometimes, which I was because I would cut off people's conversations. My
But that's an
brain,
ADHD thing. I can't help that
well,
either.
for you, it's because you worried you're going to forget. For me, it's because I've already heard the conversation play out in my head before you finished it.
Mhm.
And I have an answer for you,
Mhm.
which isn't always correct, right? Because I
Mhm.
don't have a crystal ball, but my brain is very apt at trying to predict things and patterns.
Oh yeah.
And I would just cut people off. It was so rude, so bad. And that's something I actively worked on for several years.
Mhm.
So I'm much better at inhibiting myself from speaking over people, from talking too fast, and from like I'll make a decision now, like, do they really need to know um, what chemical compounds compose Splenda and how that is now thought to, actually be very harmful to your DNA? And should I tell her because she's putting 4 packets of Splenda in her coffee that she's destroying her DNA right now? So I make that
I'm so
decision
proud of you
very
for not doing that.
actively for the most part, unless I'm not medicated or really tired, then I'll catch myself
Mhm.
sometimes like
Yeah.
50-50 on that one. No, that's false. No, I don't think I need to lean on medication anymore because I did a lot of cognitive work. I think the fatigue makes it a lot more
Mhm.
blurty. I blurted out.
Mhm.
And the chameleon. Why are you the chameleon? Tell us about your superpower.
Because I have this crazy knack to be able to adapt to any situation I'm in, and I have the ability to make everybody feel good around me in that situation.
You do make me feel good.
I do. I make a lot of people feel good. And when what's so interesting to me is that I have this ability to make people feel so good. And yet sometimes I feel so bad, which is so
Why do you
weird.
feel so bad?
Well, I mean, just coming to terms with learning about my ADHD and why I did all that and why I was like all that. But I mean, I think it's still me and I'm still that person, but I do put on an extra air about me when I'm around people.
So, how is that different from, let's say, a neurotypical versus an ADHD person, like molding to the situation or trying to just make another person feel comfortable? Why do you think yours is kind of on the next level?
I think because when I was younger, my sisters and we would go on jobs with my dad. My dad was a videographer and he would take pictures and video bar mitzvahs and weddings. And at that very young age, I had to learn customer
What
service.
age?
Oh God, I started working for him when I was like 13, and then my all three of us work for my dad.
13 is a wonderful age because you really love yourself and you know who you are and you're not worried about what people think about you. So it's a good time to do that. Yeah, good times.
So I learned customer service really quickly because my dad was such a dick sometimes. He knows it.
I think our parents are humans. We're humans. I think our
Yeah,
children can say that about us
100%
too.
human. But me and my sisters were the facilitators, calmers. We were the ones who right the situation when he would get frustrated. So we were the people pleasers, which is the
The
natural
smoother
tendency,
overs.
the smoother overs. And we made those situations perfect.
By the
We were the
way,
perfect frickin' kids to do that.
let me just circle back to your father. What exactly was it about your father's behavior that required smoothing
Oh my God,
in general terms?
he had no patience. So
So
he
he
would
was
flip
impatient.
out at the smallest things. And people who weren't around him,
So he'd have really big emotions over
very
small
big
things.
emotions about
And
very small
did
things.
he have a good filter for what came out his mouth?
Oh God, no.
Oh, how interesting.
hmm
Very
hmm
interesting.
hmm Very
'Cause
interesting.
he was on the move. He was on the go. He needed to get it done, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, how interesting.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'll let you ponder that for a second. So I will say that I think, well, maybe I can't speak for you. I can speak for myself, though. I have had friends who whose primary job was to smooth things out
hmm
with other people about my behavior. And
hmm
I've had the same friends too, or people around me, but I feel like I smoothed out my parents' behavior for others
hmm
often as a child,
hmm
right? But I didn't certainly see that I needed smoothing out as well,
hmm
right? Isn't that
hmm
interesting?
hmm
And
Very interesting.
right. And I think
Very
children,
interesting.
who grow up with ADHD parents, which is a lot of them because it is hereditary, do gain that skill
hmm
of being hyper vigilant. And I think you're kind of coming around to that superpower aspect of ADHD where it can feel like it's a superpower, but in effect, it is hypervigilance
hmm
where you're really in tune to your environment in one way or another.
hmm
And I think your hypervigilance falls on people, people around you.
Yeah.
Whereas my hypervigilance, which is mega recorder
Uh-huh.
superpower, falls on any stimulus.
Right.
So it's not just people,
Right.
which I'm hypervigilant about. I'm watching people's posture, movement,
Yes.
eye gaze, hair, nails. Like I'm watching everything, but I'm also at the same time looking at the crinkle in the curtain, the noise, any movement. It's hypervigilance.
And I'm just looking at everybody, seeing how I can talk to them. What am I going to do? What am I going to say to, I don't know, make them love me and
Let's unpack that.
move on?
Ooh, I'm going to just like cling on to that. Let's unpack that a little bit.
hmm
Here we go. Unpacking.
It's really not hard for me to do. I don't, it's not hard.
But let's go to my favorite question. But why? Why do you do it?
Because I was a constant people pleaser my whole life
Okay. Why?
because I was so insecure
Oh, okay.
about everything.
And why?
How do you become insecure? You grow up.
But let's take that word insecurity. What does that word mean to you?
I don't know, I was just the kid who, it's so hard to unpack. I'm trying to.
I'm going to phrase it this way. What do you think would have happened in any of those instances? Let's take anything at 13 or whatever you might have thought. Did you take, for example, like if they didn't like you or if something happened, then X and X might happen? Was there like some sort of thought that kind of ran in your mind or scenario of a
I always
possibility?
I think it was always a possibility of dread. I don't know. I just was just
And what
kind
were
of
you
that
dreading?
kid. I always had issues with friends. I always had issues keeping friends.
And that's something that also
I got
ADHD children have difficulty keeping
yeah,
friends because we're impulsive and
I got
all
made
these
fun of a
things.
lot in middle school. I was horribly bullied, and that definitely
Was the bullying based on exterior?
yeah.
Okay.
And and
Not
and and
behavior?
no.
Well, let
And
me
I
ask you
feel
this though.
like it was so like for
I'm gonna go back to that. So bullies often latch on to people who have a certain response to their bullying because it gives them what they need, right? The
mhm,
bullier wants a reaction.
mhm. I didn't give any reaction
Did you put your
because
head down and try to scurry away?
yeah, that.
Well, that probably made them feel really powerful though, because they could have that power over you. So you did give them some kind
Mhm,
of reaction. I
mhm,
mean, and I'm not saying you're supposed to do something else, right?
mhm.
But it did create this dynamic.
And I do
Like I would
think
have big reactions for bullies. Like when they'd put me in the trash can or something, like I'd be like screaming and
no.
like I'd have really big things. And so that got me bullied more because I gave them something because then I was the idiot, right? Like
Right.
they had every right to put me in the trash can because clearly I'm just crazy. Whereas with you, you gave them a different kind of power, which
Mhm.
was to control others by just even, saying something. Now they scurry away. See how powerful I am.
And I have realized for
And,
so long, I didn't know why they
sorry.
bullied me. I honestly, they were my
Well, and it's
friends
not about
and
you, right?
well, this is it. So
Yeah.
they were
It's
my
their problem.
friends and then they literally like turned on me and I
Yeah.
realized I had things that they wanted in my life. I had parents who loved me.
Right. There's
I
a
had a
depth there.
home. I had all of that and that was a problem for them.
Right. And
Mhm.
bullying is a very
Mhm.
deep, deep
But,
thing
it takes
that,
a long time to figure that out.
I mean, we don't have the skills to do that at 13.
No, not at all.
But I'm also wondering if your anxiety contributed to being so vigilant with people and having to kind of mold and making
Mhm,
sure that they like you.
mhm. 100%. 100%. That's like my whole everything.
Hmm.
Everything. And it's so funny because I would think about how when I'm home with my family, they don't see the Kelly that's at work. The Kelly that's at work is cracking jokes and like fucking hilarious, right? Like just a goddamn joy. Just a goddamn joy. I'm funny at home, but I don't have to mask at home. And I can just be me and normal Kelly and not have to worry about that. I'm still funny. I still can crack a joke here and there, but work Kelly and home Kelly are two completely different people.
And I think this is, a good point where we can bring in what we had talked about that while this superpower sort of angle is being talked about for, autism or
Mhm,
ADHD, because there's these skills that appear so superhuman to some people,
mhm.
but they really stem from some of that dysregulation we experience,
It's
right?
exhausting. I'm exhausted when I get home. I don't know about you, but
I'm not, but
I would
that's
be I'm exhausted when I get home from work because not only am I working, but I'm also keeping people happy.
right. I'm more tired now than in my youth
Mhm. Sure.
from
Sure.
but that's typically if I have to really like pay attention
Mhm.
all day. But, that hypervigilance that I've always had has not been a superpower either because I'm not necessarily paying attention to the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it alters my course. So if
Mm-hmm.
I have to pay attention to a particular task by noticing the other thing, I'll focus on that. And I am a curious cat.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for example, I've been looking at your small wrinkle in a curtain that's there. And then I might look into, how are wrinkles formed?
Oh my God.
Right. And I've already looked that up before, so I understand like when
Of
you can,
course
you
you
can
have.
relax a fabric and get that out. But
Of course you of course you have already looked that up.
but those are the things because then it sparks an interest, an idea,
Mm-hmm.
which can be good if it's, you know, harnessed in the right way, but definitely not if you have no idea that that's happening to you.
I feel like that happens a lot to ADHDers. I mean, my mind never stops. And
Yes.
and truly I never knew what that meant.
But I don't think anybody's mind really stops. I don't think that what we call
Do you have a
neurotypical people sit there and go, and just like not think about anything. I think we
but I
do.
mean, do you have I mean, like I have
Trains of thoughts.
constant. It never stops and it changes and it grows
And I
and it
think
gets
that,
smaller and it gets bigger and then it changes and then it turns into something else. And I'm just like exhausted after it.
well, there is a normal stream of consciousness that I think is what that's referred to, where you're just kind of thinking there's a flow of thoughts that go on and on and on. And sometimes it's a logical flow, and sometimes it's a less logical. You don't even know how you ended up thinking about
Mhm.
daisies or whatever. I think that's normal. I think where it starts to diverge from that normal is when the thoughts are really rapid
Mhm.
and you yourself lose that coherence. And not only that, you get so lost in your thoughts that it's now impacting the things you're trying to do or start
Mhm.
or feel motivated to do or to
Mhm.
take joy from.
Mhm.
And so that is exhausting because while that's going on in your mind, that rapidness, you're trying to dampen it down to actually do what you want to do, maybe relax and enjoy a show
Mhm.
or fold the laundry, all those things, and you can't because it's just too rapid.
That's what happened to me and that's why I got diagnosed with ADHD because I couldn't understand why.
I'm not laughing at you. I
No,
just
I
I'm
mean,
I'm, I'm relate
it's
laughing.
true. Yeah, like I would when I wasn't working, why I couldn't do anything. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out.
But
I
I didn't
couldn't
get
do
that because you
anything.
would tell me like I get in and I just like get there before there's anyone else,
No, no, no,
which we
when I
figured out.
wasn't
Oh, when
working.
you weren't working.
When I
Oh,
was working, I was
I don't
fine.
know why my brain heard that wrong.
Yeah. No, when I'm working, I'm fine. I can do it all. It's when I stopped working, sat down and realized I needed to do laundry, realized I needed to do this, realized I needed to mail in my unemployment or my disability forms and
Okay.
couldn't do any of it. I literally couldn't.
And that falls back to that difficulty with executive function of planning.
Mhm.
And when we don't have artificial structures imposed upon us, like a bell schedule in school
Mhm.
or a work schedule or project due
Mhm.
dates, when we don't have those
Mhm.
external motivators,
Mhm.
we lack the intrinsic motivators to roll through those tasks. And I think that's why it's really important to create structures for yourself. And, I tend to get pretty allergic to that word on my own
Mhm.
because I always felt that where there were bells and schedules, I was always struggling to keep up with them, right? And I wanted out and I couldn't wait to leave school or work or whatever and then do what I wanted to do. But that was because those spaces required a lot of that modification and masking and things
Mhm.
that were really difficult and exhausting and didn't work with me because I was indoors and they didn't really align with my skills that I enjoyed and could hyper focus in because I didn't have the right job either.
Right.
But in the home, while we think it's really great to not have those structures, I think that paradigm needs to be shifted to where it's not a structure of institutionalization where you have to abide by some sort of old-timey colonization idea of what a school is and doing that at home. At home, it's to create your flow. It's to create the space that gives you less anxiety.
Hmm.
It's to create around you that feeling of home versus the feeling of tasks and things you haven't done,
And I think that's where I finally shifted because at first it seemed like tasks and requirements.
right? Like you're supposed to have a neat home.
Right. And then I realized, no, it's actually nice to be in a house that's clean. Holy shit. I know, honestly, like, no, I never realized that.
And I'm going to like clarify on that clean because I can clean the fuck out of my house. Like I can vacuum it, dust it, all that stuff. And I think that organization is more important than the clean aspect.
Well, you have to organize first to be able to clean.
Oh no, I can clean around clutter. I lift it up, I vacuum under it, I put it back down,
Well,
I
that's
dust it.
the beauty of ADHD and piles.
Right. So
Mhm.
that organization and that's again where we really fall apart. We have these clutters in situ, clutter that just kind of stays there. That's not your cup or whatever you put down. It's that little pile of I'll deal with later unknown or someone was coming over and
And you
you
clean up and make piles. Oh,
and you
yeah.
tuck it out of sight. Those
Uh-huh.
bags
Mhm.
that I used to make that
Mhm.
live in closets and
Mhm.
shady places that you forget you had a person there. I found like a purse in a bag
Mhm.
with like my one of my favorite fountain pens or whatever.
Mhm.
Couldn't even I'd been looking for that pen for like 6 months and I
Mhm.
didn't remember.
But I think that that's what changed for me at
So,
home.
yes, go
I
on.
changed my thinking of it. Instead of making it a task, I made it a reward because I knew it was going to make me feel better to sit down after. And I actually created, a weekly cleaning thing so that it didn't feel overwhelming, but I could vacuum on Tuesdays. I could dust on
I'm
Wednesdays.
shaking my head as she's saying all these things.
Could,
No,
yeah, like
no,
but it created such a
no.
great like flow for my home. And I know you've seen a difference in my home. I
I
know you've seen
have.
a difference in my
And here
home,
it is,
but that's
like,
only because I'm home.
but I can't do that even if I'm home. I don't know how.
Because you have
Yeah.
too much going on outside of your home because you work a
No,
lot.
but I'm
Now,
home a lot too.
I do think I couldn't do this. Well, it'll be interesting when I go back to work. If I can keep this level of
No, because if I'm
clean,
home, I will paint for 12 hours or I will like build a garden and like I can't.
I understand
I
that.
know that it's good for me and I know that I should do those things and I know how much I enjoy that sort of
Uh-huh,
clarity of decluttering my
uh-huh.
spaces. But as I'm doing that task, an item will spark an impulsive thought. And then if I don't do it now,
That's so funny. Claudia and I,
then I have to do it. And so there I am. And you'll find me often like in these like midway operations at home of something.
absolutely, absolutely.
And I just read 6 books on something
Cla-
because I found this one section that was so appealing, or I've done a painting, or I've molded a flower.
So
Something
what
lame that has nothing to do with my life in
this is
terms of
what
making it
Claudia and
important, but I
I
felt really good at.
no, and Claudia and I, yesterday we sat down and when he got up and we said, okay, let's plan out the day. It's Sunday. We both know we had specific things we wanted to get achieved, completed in the house. Okay. So we verbalized what we wanted to get done. We took that list, narrowed it down to 3 things. I think there was 5 things on it. And we said, nope, not going to do 5. We're going to do 3. So to enable us to be able to play once we're done with those things.
So you're delaying gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
But no, but let me tell you though, no, because
no, it's a good thing. It's
here,
a great thing if you can
hold
do
on. But it
it.
wasn't delaying
Yes,
anything.
it was because it
Let
was.
me finish. We felt so good doing each task. So there was no delay in gratification because we were gratified after
But I
We're
don't
doing
think,
each task, so we weren't delaying anything. And then when we got to play, we're like, woohoo, let's have a cocktail.
but you had the foresight for that sort of planning.
Whereas before we'd never would have.
Right. Whereas I don't have the foresight of knowing how good it'll feel to actually.
So we need to start working on that with
Well,
you.
I mean, I have
And I
been
know
doing
you
it
do, and
with,
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit.
well, and the medication is something that has really helped with that.
1,000%.
But I'm talking about like my general state.
Yes.
I'm unable to do that. And then because my work is so structured, I mean, literally to the minutes, right?
Mhm.
With patients, I have
Mhm.
so many minutes to do things. And then
Mhm.
those minutes are broken up into addressing
Mhm.
goals that by the time I'm done with a highly structured day,
Mhm.
I I don't want any more structure.
Yeah, I'm not saying
And
you
then
do
so
this
then that
during the
weekend
week.
comes around and the
Mhm.
weekend I'm just like, I don't want to do anything.
And I understand that, and I feel the same way, but you need to start thinking and put a task, even if it's just one task on a Sunday. Let yourself do nothing on a
I
Saturday.
do. And I have been since I've been medicated because I do plan out my week now and I tend to now include weekends,
Mhm.
whereas before I never included weekends, right?
Mhm.
But it's only through medication. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because that term superpower gets thrown around about, having these great abilities. And I think it leaves a lot of people out of that conversation who have ADHD, who struggle
Mhm.
and don't see any superpower,
Mhm.
don't seem to rake in any benefit
I don't
from
think you see
having.
your superpower unless you're medicated. I
But
think it's really
I don't think it's a
hard to
superpower.
recognize.
I think that
Okay,
term,
I put that in quotes.
right.
Your what is it? Neurodivergent self? What is I'm not good with words.
Sure.
Is
No,
that what
yeah.
it is? They don't know they don't know they have this issue. So they're not going to know that they could potentially fix that issue, which I feel like that's every single person with ADHD who's not diagnosed with ADHD.
Yes. So the big part I think is if you're not diagnosed and you're unaware, you're living in a very chaotic, reactive state and are really hard on yourself,
Mhm.
probably
Mhm.
about all the things that you're doing or not doing. And that's a really hard way to live. And it's
Mhm.
completely unnecessary because
Mhm.
while maybe medication might not work for you for one reason or another, there's cognitive behavior therapy. There's other things.
To be
There's
able to help you.
there's a
Yes.
friendship you can form where you can get that help also. There's ways or partnerships. There's ways to
But you also
access
have to
help
get diagnosed.
or even just ask for it. And that might be difficult because also admitting to yourself that there's something quote unquote wrong with you
Mhm.
is a difficult journey.
Mhm. Remember, I didn't have ADHD.
I didn't think you had
I
ADHD,
didn't.
and I certainly didn't have ADHD.
No.
No, I
Mm-mm.
was just kind of
Mhm.
precocious and
Yeah, I was
energetic,
just a really cool girl.
and I was just wacky.
And I
But,
Oy.
I think for those ADHDers who have managed to function, who have managed to thrive, and
Mhm.
I feel like I'm thriving, I think it's important for us to extend that compassion and kindness to those of us who are not thriving, who are, in addition to having the ADHD neurodivergent, are compounded by depression, crippling anxiety, um, bipolarism, schizophrenia. There's other things that when you pile on these other dysregulations and pathologies.
I'm coming down off of my Lexapro
Mhm.
because my anxiety is not as prevalent anymore.
Mhm. And I think we talked a little bit about that before we started recording, how when you first start taking medication, it's working, and then there's this drop off
Mhm.
because you become unmotivated all of a sudden, even though it's been going so great. And then part of that experience is because you're not operating from an anxiety stress
Isn't that crazy?
emergency
Mhm.
level that you used all your life to get things done with, right? Everything had to be on this emergency red alert level.
Right.
And when you have medication, because you're able to be a little more proactive, now you're like, well, I got that done. I don't. you just don't have that motivation going. So you have to kind of just ride that out. It
Yes, you
does
have
get
to
better.
write it
But
out.
for those of you who feel like medication's not working for you, really give it some time. And when you feel that motivation drop off, dig deep, examine
Hmm.
why you don't feel motivated to do the task or why you're feeling that all of a sudden you're kind of everywhere. What's going on? And just do a little bit of reflection on that and then have that conversation with your therapist because I at one point I upped my medication because I thought it wasn't working for me.
Vyvanse?
I upped to 30 milligrams.
Oh, interesting.
And then it was like too much for my body.
Feel like oh my God, I wouldn't know what to do.
Because I was finding myself like going into these episodes of like surfing the web and just like drifting off the work towards the end of the day. And I thought, oh, maybe it's just I've acclimated to it because it's a stimulant. But then when I went on the bigger one, I felt more jittery and up and something. It wasn't great. So I dropped back down to 20, which is fine now.
I don't think you're supposed to always feel up and jittery.
No, but it was just too much. I
Yeah.
didn't need it.
Yeah.
What I needed to do is actually put in a system for myself to not come off the task and open 20 tabs when I got fatigued. I was supposed to take a break.
See,
I
we're
didn't know
learning
I was
how
supposed to take a break.
We're learning how to see, but that's what's so brilliant.
I've been on like hour 7 of working nonstop without a break or a lunch.
Yeah.
And then I was like needed some kind of thing.
Dopamine fix.
Why? So now I'm trying to build in breaks into work, which I've never done before.
Oh, good. That's really good.
It wasn't the medication. It was me. Apparently it's me. Hey, it's me.
ADHD. My husband always binges before he goes to bed.
Binges
So,
what?
food.
Oh.
So we're working on,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, babe, clearly you're needing some kind of dopamine fix before you go to bed.
He's just thirsty because he hasn't had any water all day.
True. Honestly. Right?
Oh, water.
Water is a
Struggle.
very big
Coffee's water. Do you know why I don't drink water?
Why?
I don't like the taste.
Okay, so why don't you do, but
Let me explain.
I don't like the taste of water either.
I don't like the taste of certain waters.
I don't like any water.
I love certain waters, like Fiji water is sweet.
Yeah, I like Fiji water.
Tap water or most
I
water,
hate it. I don't like,
I can't. I'm hypersensitive.
yes,
I'm kind of a super taster
yes.
because all my freaking nerves are on all the time. And so I smell and taste all the things that are in water and it just turns me off to it.
Water, it tastes very different.
But I installed a really good filter in my home recently.
And it tastes,
And water tastes great. And ice cubes are not tasting
got
like
this-
I've licked a dog's butt.
right. We get the water from the big thing.
I can't do that water either.
I can't. I put a little bit of Crystal Light.
No, don't put your chemicals in there.
But this is a 64-ounce bottle.
Don't
I put 2
eat
droppers.
chemicals.
2
Not
droppers.
needed.
Oh, shut up. I need something and I can drink 2 64 ounces.
Anyway, so that's one of the reasons, other than forgetting that I don't drink water, but I'm a little better about it now. I like the bubbly waters with a hint of flavor.
Yeah, those are good too. Those are good too.
So he's binge eating.
He's binge eating and I'm like, babe, we've got one. When you go and open up, what is the thing called?
The refrigerator or the cabinets?
Jesus Christ.
Pantry? What are we opening?
Pantry.
Pantry. Okay.
God. I need you to ask yourself why you're doing this.
Because I'm hungry.
Okay. That's a great answer. Are you really hungry though?
Yes.
Okay. Because it's 2
Yes.
o'clock in the morning
Yes.
and you're not hungry.
Yes. I'm hungry.
I need you to take one thing out of the pantry.
Like a giant bag of potato chips.
Sure. If that's what you want,
That's what I want all the time.
that's fine. And shut the pantry door.
No, that's
Don't go
too many
back.
steps.
I know. No, but trust me, I absolutely get it because he sits at the pantry and just stands in front of it and then eats.
Right. Because
He never
nothing
shuts the door.
correct. Because when you get this overwhelming
Yes.
hunger, nothing sounds good. So you try all the
Yes.
things.
You try all the things.
And nothing's filling the deep, deep hole.
Exactly. What I need him to do is to just grab one thing and shut the door. The whole point of it is to shut the door. He
You shut
never
the door.
shuts the door. You shut the door. If he can start shutting the
Shut the door.
door,
You shut the
he can then stop himself and think about it for a second. Whether or not he goes back, that's up to him.
right. And there's that
I'm just
ADHD
asking
hallmark.
for the 1 second to think about it.
Right. It's that stopping.
That's all you need.
We're impulsive and then we can't
Mhm.
stop. We can't switch tasks.
Yes. Yes. So that's the only thing I'm asking of him to try and do is to take one thing out of
So
the
why do you think he
cabinet
can't stop
and
himself
shut
there?
the door. Because he has such a shitty work schedule. And right now it's so shitty. And he's,
And that's externals. What's going on inside?
oh God, I can't speak for him.
So what I posit.
Okay. I'm exhausted
rolling your
already. What do you see, lady?
What I posit is that he's already in a state
Yes,
of exhaustion and dysregulation, which
absolutely.
has
Very
taken down his cognitive
Yes.
abilities to shift the tasks.
Yes.
So he's there to kind of get that dopamine
Yes.
slash channeling the stress and all this stuff.
Yes.
So what needs to be in place is not
And get ready for bed.
right. So the just close the door is kind of saying you're fine, which is kind of not acknowledging.
No.
No, not by you. You're not telling. I'm not saying that
Okay.
you're saying that, but it's not acknowledging the actual extent of what's going on. So
I don't think he can do that yet.
he can't. But by the time he's at the door, it's too late. So there needs to be a precursor or some sort of
Okay.
an
Okay.
antecedent.
I hear you. I
right?
hear you.
There's something that happened before that's leading to something that has worked to fulfill that, to close that circuit, right? So
Uh-huh.
if you put in something in place prior to that, that
So
can
let's
be
say he's playing a video game. He looks at the clock.
so already there,
It's
right?
time to go to bed.
So if you're going to play a video game, maybe the snack is there with the game.
But you can't snack and play at the same time.
But it's already there. It's taken out. The portion.
Okay.
The portion is already present. So
Copy.
so you incorporate a routine into an established routine because it's more likely to be continued.
Got it.
So the routine currently is coming home, unwinding, relaxing, whenever, sit down, play your video game, get up because you're exhausted from having not blinked for 20 minutes just now and having all your dopamine resources exhausted and fulfilled. Now, the next step in that routine is to go in the kitchen, get a snack, right? So you're going to switch that routine, have the snack bowl. Maybe what you do, Kelly, is you put out a bowl with 2 or 3 snack size items.
Before I go to bed.
He makes the decision about the item, puts it in the bowl, puts the other ones away, or just leaves them on the counter. Just leave it there. Or having maybe just 2 choices. I gave you too many. So 2 choices of a snack, a sweet or a salty.
He's such a sweet guy.
And even if he eats both, because they're already they're like a little packet or whatever. And he takes them, puts them in his little bowl, and he comes and does his playing. And the routine that you add after that is when he's done, he does not return the bowl to the kitchen. He turns off the light when he's turning off the game. Right. So you're keeping him out of that space that might trigger that post event.
I was just trying to figure out how to give
right,
him a different dopamine fix.
But you're trying to get him to control himself versus alter the course.
Well, I don't understand.
I'm not saying you're trying to control him. I'm saying that you're asking him to do something he already can't do.
Right.
Right.
I don't understand how things work. And that's why you're here.
I don't know how things work. I just read that one.
I just thought, baby, let's just change what you're doing in the kitchen. No, we need to change before the kitchen.
Right. So incorporate a new routine.
We're going to do that tonight.
Routine.
Unless he's working tonight.
Yes, try it out. And if that doesn't work, again, then you're just kind of tweaking that routine around until you find something that works and asking him to do that for 5 days straight. And see how he feels. If he's more dysregulated from that, then maybe the picking or the idea of looking at abundance to feel good that he has worked so hard for this abundance. What does he need other than the food, what is that giving him? And maybe he needs some sort of other abundance to look at.
I mean, honestly, it's 2 in the morning. He needs to fucking go to bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I-
It's 2 in the morning. He needs to go to bed.
right. I get that too. But I do know that there needs to be this really nice wind down period. And video games are really stimulating,
But what Claudio does,
right?
right? But
What can we build into his routine that's not
he has a
up
long
top?
routine in the bedroom, so he does take time. He
So it's
really,
just a matter of getting him in there after his gaming.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, because he takes time because he, really cleans his
And
teeth,
he might need to
really
see
just
that visually of what's next. So maybe there's a little thing for a week that just says, you know, snack, obtain snack, game, start bedroom routine.
mhm.
So that he's like doing
Yeah,
that
because you know what I think
transition.
about Gratz did all of that, and now she doesn't have to do that anymore.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's instilled in her.
Yeah. I mean, Corey still roams in before bed and tries to eat bread. And I'm just like, no, you're just tired. You need some
Right,
water. Uh,
right, right,
because they're trying to
right.
just channel their day. And
And I feel like that's like, what? Don't we all do that? We kind of are
no, not
like,
to that level though. Like I get really hungry at night
I get really hungry
because,
at night too.
but not hungry like that, but like need. I get needy
Absolutely, like a needy, sugary
something.
something to make me feel good for a second.
And then also lately, I feel like has been telling me that I've stayed up too long. Like if I've swung around to that next
Hunger.
hunger, that
Hmm.
tells me that my body is gearing up for another hour and a half of awake. So I'm trying to
You know what cracks me
prevent
up?
that.
I went when I needed to go get that medication for Gratz for her
Mhm.
thing. Um, I went to CVS, got all the medication,
And snacks
checked out, and I was standing in line to check out, and I looked.
at all the impulse items that they put over there for
Well,
us.
here's the thing. On the shelf, there
What was
was
on the shelf?
all these things on the shelf,
Yeah.
and there was this one single bag
That said, Kelly,
of
you need
candy,
me. Kelly, take me
and
in
it
your
was the
arms.
candy that I ate as a child.
Oh,
And I bought that bag of candy, and I was like, dopamine fix, because I am literally dealing with a
you ate some
crying
reminiscing.
child, and mama needs to feel better right now. Mama's
Oh,
gonna pop a few of these.
you ate some nostalgia.
And it's so weird how I totally recognize that, and how I recognize how I use sugar or
No,
salt for that matter, but I use
right.
sugar more to make me feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
God damn it.
Hmm.
It was literally the first, like, I just was like, there was no stopping me. There's no stopping me.
I used sugar yesterday to
Yeah.
continue cleaning with my daughter in their room because we needed it. So I was like, lollipop, lollipop. And we had a lollipop, but that was okay. Like we didn't eat out of a
I don't
bag.
think it's
I think the
that.
occasional,
Yeah.
because we were doing a really hard task
Yes.
and maybe I'm pairing it wrong and creating a really horrible circuit because now they're going to like need sugar for everything. That's, I don't know. I don't think that one event's going to do it, but I have to be cautious to not like make that every time. Like, oh, is it a hard task? Here, have a lollipop. It'll make you feel better.
Thank God they're 15
I will
and
say,
at least they're older.
I will say that ADHDers actually need more sugar because we burn through more glucose in our brain from having all these movements that our body
Mm.
needs and rapid thoughts.
Mm.
And while they used to think it makes us hyper, it's the research lately has been that it's the other way around.
Mhm.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, sugar's not good for you.
No, but it is what it
Next
is.
time on our episode about sugar, dispelling the myth of color number 5. Just kidding. I don't know.
I love sugar.
Yes, I do too. Sugar's great, but not good for you. So
Mm-mm.
I think the takeaways here on our episode is one, it's not a superpower to have ADHD. There is no superpower.
No.
I think everyone has their skills and has their areas that they need to work on. The key is to recognize where you are strong and to find jobs and
Yeah.
occupations and hobbies that really help you excel
Mhm.
using those skills. But to not get myopic and focus on that and really continue the work where you still need to work on yourself.
And it's a constant. The work
It's
keeps on going.
it's good
Things
work.
things
It's good work.
It's good work. Things do get better, but you're always working, which
And
I
you
actually
should.
kind of like. Yeah.
And I think, people should do that. That's
Yeah.
part of our human
I'm just trying to
experience.
make myself a little bit better,
And less
and
stressed.
less stressed.
And
Yes.
enjoy your life more
Ugh,
by creating habits that work for you
exactly.
versus
Gosh,
against you.
too bad we didn't figure this out when we were
I know so
younger.
many regrets, but then
That's okay. I wouldn't be where I am now.
that's the thing.
Mm,
This is where we're at, and
mm,
that's all there is no past or tomorrow. It's just the second right now. Boop, it's gone. Boop,
hmm.
it's gone.
Oh my God. Boop gone. Boop gone. Boop gone.
Wow. Thank you for playing with us on what the hell ADHD.
Or heck, whichever one you want to do.
WTH. We'll just stick with that.
And join us next time. We'll post some stuff on our things. Take a look at our socials and
And
have
as
a
usual,
fabulous day.
I'll add some show notes for some guidance and help in these areas as well for you, some resources.
Fabulous.
Bye.
Bye. This has been a Hi It's Me ADHD production.